Welcome to week 2, part 4 of the College Algebra Learning Guide. We're making our way through some great examples that I'm hoping are going to help you with your college algebra class. Now, just a reminder, if you missed parts 1 through 3, I'll link them in the description below. That way you can access them. And as always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. That way you get notification every time a new video is posted that could help you in some way. So we're going to jump into part 4 of the week 2 learning guide. And for this part, we're going to focus on equations of a line given the slope and points, and then also graphing lines and identifying intercepts. If you would like a copy of the learning guide, I will link it in the description below. That way you can download a copy and then you can mark it up with all good notes and things like that. In our last video, we worked on finding the slope of a line from a graph, and I just want to spend just one more example on it. Remember in our last example that we said that we find the slope from a graph by calculating the rise over the run. And I told you that I like to use my point on the far left first. And I like to then use this to calculate my rise and run. Now be real careful on this graph because each of these marks on the y-axis are a half. In fact, on the y-axis and the x-axis. So I'm going to count. Let's see, it's a half and 1 and 1.5 and 2. So my rise here is up 2. And remember that up means positive. Then from here, I'll have to count over running 1/2, 1, and again, I went right. So I know that my slope here is 2. Rise over run, when I am looking at the graph of an equation. Now, when you need to graph an equation, I would encourage you to use the Desmos graphing calculator. So I'm going to link that in the description below. I'm going to switch our view so that you can see the Desmos calculator I'm using. And let me type in this equation for number 2. I've got y equals negative 3x plus 6. I like Desmos because of its friendliness and it's free. Who doesn't like free? And you'll notice what another thing that I like about Desmos is it highlights these points here. Okay. It tells me this is an important point. I'm going to go graph it on my grid 0, 6. It's important because it is the y-intercept. It's where it touches the y-axis. And then it also tells me this point here is an important point, and that's at 2, 0. That's an important point because it's the x-intercept. So what I do is I use my Desmos points that Desmos says is important. I plot them on my graph. I'll use my handy dandy straight edge. And if you've seen any of my videos, you know my Sonic gift card makes an appearance quite often as my straight edge. But there's my graph. Okay, and that's how I work smarter, not harder, using a tool like Desmos Graphing Calculator to translate it then into my work. So I hope that helps. Again, I'll link the Desmos Graphing Calculator in the description below. That way you can use it. Let's switch back my view to then look at number 3 and number 4. Now on number 3, we're being asked to find the equation of the line. In our previous video on part 3, we looked at an equation of the line that was called slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. I think I'm going to stay with this form because it's pretty easy to use. So what I would do is first substitute in my slope for the m. So I've got y equals negative 4/3 x plus b. All I did there was replace the m with negative 4/3. Now I'm going to replace the y and the x because I'm being told that x is negative 3 and y is 3. So I'm going to replace the y with a 3. I like my colors here. And I'm going to replace my x with a negative 3. And I'm going to solve. Okay. Now in your calculator, you can calculate negative 4/3 times negative 3. That's going to give you 4. And then you can subtract 4 from both sides. You'll see that b is negative 1. The beauty of this formula is I can go right back here and now substitute in -1 for b. And that's my equation. Pretty simple. When I use my slope first, plug it in, then I substitute my x and my y, and I solve for b. All right, one last one, number 4 here. Again, I'm going to switch over to our Desmos Calculator. That way we can use it as a good graphing tool. I'm going to delete our previous one by clicking the X there. And let me type in this equation, y equals 2x plus 2. Remember, Desmos will highlight the key points for you. So you need to grab those. And let's see, I'm sure your learning guide has a grid on it. So we're going to plot this point 0, 2. And that is our y-intercept, which we were asked to identify. And then I'm going to hover over the other important point Desmos is telling me, and that's at -1, 0. That is important because it's my x-intercept. And then use your straight edge again to draw your line. Now remember, with everything we're doing in this class and in this learning guide, I'm going to switch back our view here. You want to work smarter, not harder, right? You want to use the tools that you have, like the Desmos Graphing Calculator, to graph, but then you do the analysis part. And I think that's going to make you able to answer a lot more of the questions. So thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. That way you get notification of any future videos. Leave some comments. I'll be glad to post videos of any other topics that you'd like or iron out any questions that you might have. Bye for now.